Using our 19mm socket, let's go ahead and remove our lug nuts. Let's go ahead and remove our wheel and set it aside. Let's go ahead and remove our cotter pin here. We're going to use a pair of cutters. I'm going to try and straighten out the cotter pin here the best we can. We're going to try and get to the top of this here. It looks like our cotter pin is kind of pulled through quite a bit. So we're going to grab a pair of pliers and just try and wiggle that through. And it looks like we're able to start working that through on the other side. I'm going to continue to do this so we can get our pliers caught on that. I'm going to switch over to our cutters here. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the head of it, pinch it, and just kind of rock it. And this is, we're going to use the nut as leverage to try and work that cotter pin. As we pull the top, it'll pull the bottom out. I'm just going to straighten these as we go. And our goal is to remove that cotter pin as a complete unit. And there you have it. We're going to go ahead and use our 21mm socket and our ratchet. Let's go ahead and remove that nut. I want to go ahead and separate these two units here. We're going to use a tool called a Pickle Fork. I'm going to put this up between these two parts here. You can see it's wedge shaped. So we're going to try and work this up and separate these two. And when working this up, you want to be careful not to tear the rubber grease boot here. I want to go ahead and clean off our boot here, inspect it. Our boot looks like it's in really good condition. So we're just going to go ahead and drop that down and away. Using a 15mm socket, we're going to go ahead and loosen our adjuster sleeve nut here. Now our adjuster sleeve and tie rod, we're a little bit rusty. We did apply some heat to it. We're going to go ahead and try and spin this. Going to break that rust free. You want to take into consideration the amount of rotations it takes to unscrew this here. You want to go ahead and install the new part, the same amount of threads. That'll set you with a preliminary setting for your alignment for your wheels. Now if you want, you can go ahead and spray some rust penetrant inside the split here on the sleeve. We're going to go ahead and try and work our collar, our adjuster lock collar off. I'm going to go ahead and just work this off. Just tapping this off here. Now at this point, we can get around to the back side of the adjuster sleeve. I'm going to use a small pry bar and open this up and get some rust penetrant inside there. So at this point, we can go ahead and mark our unit here. Now we're going to go ahead and spin this out, counting our rotations for installation of our new part. Don't forget to remove your adjuster lock collar. Take your lock collar, make sure it matches up with the other one. Slide that over. I'm going to go ahead and thread this in, and we did put some anti-seize compound on the threads. Let's go ahead and get this threaded in. Let's go ahead and work our collar on here. So we take a few taps of the hammer to get that on. Now that we have our collar in place, let's go ahead and tighten that down. Let's go ahead and spin off the castle nut here. Don't forget to remove your boot protector. Pop our boot back on there. Go ahead and feed that through. We're just going to put a pry bar inside the brake rotor vanes here and just position this unit. You want to pay attention to the orientation of the hole through the stud here for your cotter pin. Go ahead and thread that nut on, and we'll thread it on as far as we can by hand. Let's go ahead and snug this nut down. I can go ahead and snug down this adjuster here. I want to go ahead and tighten down our clamps to 30 foot-pounds on our adjuster sleeves. Let's go ahead and torque down this nut here. I'm going to torque that to 63 foot-pounds. You want to make sure that the notch in your castle nut lines up with the hole in the stud here. Let's go ahead and feed our cotter pin through. Now, if the cotter pin doesn't line up, you don't want to loosen the nut. You want to tighten the nut until the next notch comes through on the castle nut, and then feed the cotter pin through. At this point here, we can go ahead and we can fold that over. We're just going to cut off our excess. Let's go ahead and install our wheel. Once we get that on, I'm going to go ahead and install our lug nuts. I'm going to get all these started by hand, and then we're going to go ahead and snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque our lug nuts down to 100 foot-pounds.